So, okay, with that, I'm going to hand it off here to Dr. Baggio.
Okay. Hold on a sec. Okay, hello everybody. I think I've been here before at the end of the year representing the strawberry pathology lab, and then we talked a little about plant disease back then. And today John and I are just proposing this different activity for you, but we want to start just with a background on plant health issues that we might encounter. And so I'm gonna share the presentation. Okay.
Yeah, proceed. Yeah. You're good.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little about plant health problems. But first, we need to know what a healthy plant looks like, right? So we cannot diagnose a problem caused by a pathogen, a pest, or even an environment problem without knowing what the plant looks like. And I always have this picture of this plant because it reminds me of whenever I was doing my PhD and I was being an instructor to an undergrad course, and we brought this plant and we kind of wanted to trick the students into what is this? Is this a problem? And they didn't really know, so they start mentioning all crazy types of problems. This is a virus. No, this is some type of nutrient deficiency. And whereas, as you all know, this is actually a healthy plant, how it should look like. So that's why it's very important to know how healthy plant looks like. And starting with some of the problems that we can see in plants, and they can be caused by abiotic or biotic problems. So abiotic problems, they don't have any relation with pathogens or pests or anything, organism that is causing that injury. Whereas biotic plant problems, it's usually plant disease and it's caused by a pathogen or pests, especially plant pathogens. So abiotic plant problems are caused by environmental factors that can be either natural or man-made. So they are non-infections, non-living. So they are caused by something that doesn't have a life. That's the better definition here. So we can cite some like unfavorable soil's properties or structure, like soil compactation. Sometimes it's very common in gardens. Nutrient imbalances or either deficiency or toxicity, moisture extremes, even low moisture or excess of water, temperature extremes, light extremes, any physical injury, chemical toxicity, for example, application of a herbicide or an insecticide that can cause damage to the plant. And in Florida, we also have lightning strikes. For the biotic problems, so they are problems caused by usually an organism that when you infect the plant will disrupt its normal appearance and growth and causing the disease. So it's a problem caused by an infection, a living organism. So as the most common plant pathogens that we have are the bacteria. And in this group, we also include the phytoplasma, that is a different special type of bacteria that is also very common causing disease. The fungi, the oomycetes that used to be fungi. So they are example like Pitune, Phytophthora. So these organisms were considered fungi, but now they are in this different group. The nematodes, viruses, and viroids. So here at the right side, we have just a picture of a plant cell and the size of these organisms when compared to the size of plant cells. So As you see in here, the nematode, the head of nematode can be, it's as big as the cell, so sometimes we can see a naked eye, whereas something like the virus or viroid are very tiny, so we cannot see through naked eye, not even through scopes or regular microscopes. We need very special microscopes to observe them. And what I wanted to point out here, especially with the disease, when the diseases are caused by an organism, we usually see a sign of the disease. What does that mean? This is an observation of the organism that is causing the disease. So sometimes we see symptoms of powdery mildew in plants, and it's actually like what we see are the signs of the fungus that is growing on the top of the leaves. And the symptom is just when the host, which is the plant, is manifesting the infection by a pathogen. So if you see chlorosis or wilting of leaves, these are the symptoms. So what is the process in the plant that is affected by these pathogens? So now we're gonna present a series of pictures. That's how now it gets more interesting. So we're gonna be the plant diagnosticians, and I think John is gonna put up the poll too. So we're gonna show one slide at a time. You're gonna have some alternatives that you can pick and choose from, and later on we're gonna talk about the results and also explain why, the whys and why nots. Okay, so your turn to be the plant diagnostician. This is we divided this in 3 parts, and so we're gonna have part 1 with 10 questions first. So this is the first picture that we have, and John, I think, is gonna.
So check it out. I'm launching the poll right now.
So how can I give you maybe a few seconds for you to
we'll give
answer?
you guys like 15 or 20 seconds here.
So
Or
just
30 seconds, up to 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the next slide.
Okay, we're moving to the next one.
Number 2.
I think they have questions. Let me check the, yeah. No, it's usually only one problem for these pictures. Next slide.
Oh, because the polling hasn't ended.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4.
We can give you more time. We're gonna try to work on the.
So if you can't see the questions anymore, just make sure to try and record them. Okay, number 5.
Okay, number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, scroll down. Yeah.
All right, we just lost our internet connection here in Orange County. So hold on, we're trying to get it back up and running. Let's do that. Yeah, try that one.
We're back. Sorry. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. This is the last one from part 1.
I don't know why. That's because they're only getting to their last question.
Yeah,
so
they're
now-
submitting. Yeah. Okay, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna check her answers, and John is gonna end the polling, or do you want to give them a few more seconds?
I'll give you guys like 20 more seconds to end your poll, and then we're going to go on to the question or review over here. Okay. Okay, amending the poll. Okay, you're good. We can review over here. They can't see like
You can share the results, right?
yeah, let's see here. I'll try sharing the results. But are we able to like share results while at the same time being able to?
No, probably not.
So we'll stop sharing results for now. Okay. So go ahead and start.
John, I don't know what you did. Okay.
Yeah, just start going down and review.
So the first picture was actually sunburn. And then John, you want to talk more about the answers?
Yeah, I mean, as you like, it does look a lot like some of these diseases a little bit that we might some foliar diseases. But over almost half of you guys got the right answer here. I guess regarding like Cercospora, it's not really the pattern that you would see with that type of disease.
And especially it's important, like I mentioned before, for the disease, you always would be able to look into the signs. So if it was a disease, a leaf like that, we could put inside a plastic bag with a piece of humid paper and leave it overnight, and the following day we would be able to see some of the signs of the pathogen. So sometimes it's hard to diagnose it just by looking at the picture. So that's why it's very important, and we have the history, and then we can see the material. You can work on the material as well. Next one. Yes, 71% of
Boxwood dieback. So this is one of the ones that's, if you could tell what the plant is, a lot of times you'll know that there's a key pest or a key disease that goes with it. And this is very common for what we see with boxwoods in Florida in very humid environments. It's really, we're pushing the range here. And this is something that they get because they get trimmed a lot, and it gets introduced to the edges where they're exposed, and it kind of works its way in. So good job. Most of you got this one.
Number 3. Excess of water. You also 88% of you select that option, and that was correct.
Yeah, very good. I mean, some of these other ones on here, calcium deficiency, boron deficiency, late blight, those look more like disease. This is something that looks more like physical damage, because it really is, that's what's going on, is the physical structure of the plant is failing.
Next one, number 4. You got that right as well. Cercospora leaf spot.
Well, overall, there's a little bit
Yeah.
more mixing on this. So 42% got this one.
And then we also have botrytis leaf spot. Yeah, actually, here again, it's important that botrytis is not that very important for this plant. So again, as John mentioned, knowing the plant, your host, and the disease range that can affect it is very important. It will help you with the diagnosis as well. Number 5.
So yeah, we've got here, this is another like key pest or key disease for a key plant. So we've got the Indian hawthorn, and I mean, really most specimens that you see of this, like it's almost uncommon to see it without this leaf spot that goes with it. So, and it doesn't really look like, you know, some of these other things, cold damage, where you have uniform damage across whole areas of the plant, or scales, where you'd probably have like some leaves starting to fail like uniformly, and nitrogen deficiency, but also you probably have like yellowing all throughout it. So this is a good job. Most of you got this one too.
Number 6, that was the blossom end rot, and then that's actually caused by a calcium deficiency. And most of you got it right as well. And some of you also mentioned anthracnose fruit rot, which I mean, I can see why the symptoms sometimes are very similar. But again, if we had to look at closely, if it was a pathogen, a disease caused by a pathogen as a coletotricum, we would see signs of the fungus on the top of the symptoms here. And I know, again, sometimes it can be tricky just looking at the picture, but if we have these materials on hand, or the more we ask questions about the people to the people that bring this material, we can rule that option out. So, but I think you did a good job. Number 7. So sunburn.
46 half-foot sunburn.
Other animal damage.
So this is another one of those ones that is physical damage, and we tried to trip you up a little bit here, putting the animal damage. It probably wouldn't look that different, but I'm impressed that most of you were able to get this one, because I mean, something that stands out to it is also that you can see that it's starting to be colonized by fungus on here, and that's why we threw anthracnose on there. But this is, you know, you have this happen sometimes with certain fruiting plants, that the fruit can be damaged by sunburn, and that's exactly what this one is.
And in this case, the pathogen, it's just secondary. It's just taking advantage of the situation of the plant, but it's not actually what's been causing these symptoms. So good job. Number 8. Yeah, that one would be a little confusing, but I think the majority of you got it right. It was manganese deficiency. And I know it can be confused with other like disease caused by virus, and we know the virus sometimes is they are complicated to be diagnosed, especially because they are organisms that we cannot see. There are no signs of it, but what I wanted to note here is that it's very symmetric. So if we had a virus symptom, it would be more asymmetric. And in this case, it's very symmetric. So you have the nerves, the central nerves, very green, and then just yellow in between the leaf nerves. So this is a manganese deficiency. Number 9. Wow, the answer actually was zinc deficiency, letter B. And I know it can be confused with iron deficiency too. So these micronutrients, they are tricky to be recognized. So especially micronutrients, we have to look if it's the lower and the older leaves or the upper new leaves. And in this case, they are both like they are new leaves, but here we are seeing symptoms of zinc in this picture. And we noticed some of you also put citrus greening, and that's why we wanted to bring picture number 10. This is actually what citrus greening looked like. But remember again the pattern. So number 9, we had a more symmetric pattern. And then here for citrus greening symptoms, this pattern is not that symmetric. It's more irregular. So this is a good indication that this is caused by pathogen. So before we jump to the second part, this was just an interesting material from IFA's blog, from the Citrus Research Center, where they compare deficiency and greening. So they divide the leaf in the middle and they see if the symptoms are symmetric or not, as I mentioned. And then in greening, as you can see, you have the yellowing of the leaves in one side, but not in the other. Whereas for nutrient deficiency, you have in both sides. So this is, again, a good indication. And the same would be for the grape leaf symptoms as well. Okay, now I think we're jumping to part 2.
Do we want to go to part 2, or do we want to just only do part 3 since there's less questions? We typically go 45 minutes.
Let's do part 3 then. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to hang on to part 2 that we had planned here, and we're just going to go to part 3. We got like 5. It's going to be focus on palm issues, and we're going to save these questions, and we'll probably keep working on more similar types of exercises for the future for lunch and learns and advanced master gardener training. So I'm going to pull that up.
Okay.
Okay. So just pay attention to the numbers. It gets a little hairy here with the numbers, but because 1 is number 20, and then it'll continue all that way until 24. So the poll is up. I'm going to start the timer.
Okay, moving to number 21 is the question number 2 in the poll. Picture number 22 is the question number 3 in the poll. Picture number 23, question number 4 in the poll. Last picture, picture number 25, question number 5 in the poll.
Mhm.
So we will give you a few
I'll
more
give-
seconds.
Yeah, a few more seconds here to end the poll for yourself and submit. Yeah, 26 of 55.
And
I kind of wonder if people on phones might be having issues. Okay, we're going to end the poll and we'll go into our review here.
okay, number 20.
So we got Ganoderma, 50% of folks selected Ganoderma. The other one was oyster fungus, which is not a bad guess. You're in the neighborhood and thinking that it was a fruiting fungal body. But Ganoderma is also referred to butt rot because it forms towards the bases of trees. And in palm trees, it's very, in Florida in particular, it's very lethal over time. But yeah, it's got that rust color and they're very large. Some of these other ones, they would be much smaller mushrooms. And so that's why, that's what really sets Ganoderma out. And also those mushrooms, another thing that's interesting about them is they stay there for a long period of time. They don't just flush and leave and deteriorate over a matter of days to weeks. They're there permanently almost. So,
And as you can see here, sometimes the symptoms on the palms, they are very similar to the other pictures as well, right? Causing like this wilting of the older leaves and the discoloration. So in this case, again, we're seeing a sign of this disease, which is the fungus. Which brings us to our next picture.
so this one contrasts quite a bit from what you saw with Ganoderma. Armillaria, let's see here. You guys, oyster fungus was the number one that was selected here. The Armillaria, the reason why I think that oyster fungus was chosen more than Armillaria is because it doesn't show up very much in the environment. It usually spends most of its lifetime below ground in the roots or in the plant itself, and it only fruits in a small window of time, like during specific times of year. But if you can catch it, it's a strong indicator that that tree has that it is not doing very well. This is a very deadly disease for trees and palms, and it's one to be aware of for sure. So, but in contrast to Ganoderma, it's there in a very short period of time. It has something else about it. It kind of has a distinct smell. They call them honey mushrooms because they have kind of a sweet odor to them. So that would be another cue you could use if somebody brought them in, for example.
Number 22.
So 22 is this is a physical damage, and these were lightning strikes. So
It's very one third, and 1/3.
yeah, it was split quite a bit here, and it does look a lot like some of these other things that we had listed, fusarium wilt or lightning strike.
No, this is a lightning strike.
Or lethal
Lethal
bronzing,
bronzing.
pardon me. So it does, like the symptom, sometimes things as they appear are not always what they seem. Like just because you've got a lot of wilting that's occurring, and this isn't even that advanced for it, where they start browning the dead leaves, that this would be one of these things that you'd have to say, did it happen suddenly or slowly? And that's why context is so important. And when you talk to the homeowners that come in, you have to really quiz them about like timeline as well. Is there anything about fusarium like that?
Yeah, I think fusarium would also hard to see the signs of the pathogen. You would have to bring to clinic, like in Gainesville, or even the ones at the Gulf Coast Research Center where I work, because we would have to work on making isolations and try to plate the fungus and see some growth. But again, that's why it's important the history of the symptoms too, not just the symptoms. You have to ask when you start seeing that. Is just this one tree? So how are the symptoms spreading the area? It's localized, or every single plant of my area has it? So I think that's it. And
Okay.
for number 23, yes, see?
Yeah, everybody's, I mean, we had over 50-50, and the other one that most people went for was fusarium wilt.
Okay.
So when we just talked about that it could be one of these hard instances where you have to bring it in somewhere to do isolations and growing them in petri dishes and stuff like that. But chances are, if you see these types of conditions, this is what it is. This is very prevalent in the environment right now, and it's killing a lot of palms, and you see it quite a bit along highways and stuff like that.
And it can be spread by pruning tools as well. And we have an example, even in our research center, we have 2 palm trees there in the front, and one of them looked super healthy and the other one started dying. So we can see the progress over time. Again, disease is always like something that you're going to see over time. And now we've been seeing some symptoms in the healthy plant as well. So again, it's pruning tools, and also we don't know that much about this disease yet, if there are other ways, if it can come, it's coming from the nursery too. So it's a kind of new, considered really new disease. Number 24, the last one.
Philopsis from trunk rot. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But
Yep.
Philopsis, Viopsis. So so this one was a little bit obvious, like in that the description of the disease is in the name. They're having the trunk rot from internally, and that the structure is failing for the plant. And another thing, that if this type of thing occurs and somebody describes this, a thing to look for also is that it tends to ooze. These pictures don't really show that, but that is a secondary symptom of this as well. So,
and we know that some of you marked the lightning strike. It actually could look like something as lightning strike, but again, it would be important to know how sudden that happened. You know, if it's something that happened overnight, or not overnight, but it's still diseases and pathogens, they usually take their sweet time to cause damage.
okay.
Okay.
So that's it
for today.
Today's Lunch and Learn. If I guess you can send it back over to me over here, and then I'll see about having an all members meeting, like see that type of thing. But
I'm gonna put here.
All right, I guess we are in all members meeting time now. So let me just think about I guess in terms of what has happened here, yeah, or I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, we don't really got time for questions. Let's see, things that have been happening. I've met with Dr. Kevin Cam, our new director, and I just talked to him about a lot of the logistics around here. Something to keep in mind is that the county is in phase 2 in terms of where we are with repopulating or going back to normal, but the state is in phase 3. So that's why universities and that type of facilities are beginning to reopen. But we defer to the county or whichever one is like at the highest level. So that we're still at that. There's still a lot of precautions that we're being told to keep implemented here, and I just wanted to like let you know where we stand. And I mean, this is all subject to change over time, but outside of that, I can't really think of too much. So I'm going to turn it to you guys if you've got any questions regarding operations or that type of thing. So plant clinic shifts. Okay, so we still have the planet clinic in operation for folks that are not subject to vulnerable population status. I'm going to go ahead and like extend the schedule out and like print that out for all of you that come in here and have you take a look at it and see if it works with your schedules. If there's any of it that doesn't work for you, I'm going to extend it all the way through December. If it does not work for you, let me like cross it out, write notes on there, and whatever doesn't work from there, that will go to being the version that Shalise and I will put up on VMS, and then you should be able to see open spots and things like that from there, and you can request to sign up for them. So just letting you know, like it's going to go out beyond August for regular plant clinic. And then for remote plant clinic, we're having our tutorials today. And for all the folks that were interested in that. And then we'll probably start like a 2 or 3 week rotation on that, depending on how many people stick with it. So, okay, questions about the spring festival. That's complicated. I talked to him about that. It's such a moving target how things are going to be in March. And he's so new that he doesn't know a lot about like some of the specific questions we had, like about dogs on county property, for example. He's not sure yet. He's only been here a couple of weeks. So, but he's looking into some of these things I brought up, and I'm going to try and have him on one of the planning meetings for the next plant festival planning meeting that we do monthly. So, okay, well, I'll give it another 20 seconds or so here, and then from there, if we're done, we'll go ahead and I'll have you guys go into breakout sessions for folks that are interested in doing that. And I guess let's just go with 45 minutes for learning this week, since there wasn't really a big all members meeting. We'll just do 45 minutes volunteer. So Andrea, do you need more remote plant clinic folks? I think we're okay, but if you're interested, just let us know. Like, I mean, I think we've got enough to have a 2 or 3 week rotation here at this point. But it's working so far. I think everybody that's been involved, I've been pretty happy with making it work. we haven't run into too many difficulties, and I think that like the clients seem to be pretty happy for the most part, talking to being able to get people in the afternoon. So all right, I'm gonna break you guys up into, okay, I got one more here. Did you mean, yeah, volunteer, or no, continuing education for 45 minutes, yes, because we basically we only had a couple minutes of meeting time here. So I'm gonna go ahead and break you guys up for everybody that's interested in sticking around in the breakout rooms. Yeah.